We ready?
We are ready.
Okay, we'll start the July 17th, 2025 Village Parks Commission meeting.
Thank you very much, Chair and members of the board. Thanks for joining us this wonderful summer evening. It's been a little met. October of last year was our last meeting, and we've been. So we did, let me go through the quick agenda here. So a project update on the park proper project. So the ADA pathway, the restrooms, we thought we'd offer if there. Just a quick little walking tour of the pathway, the new picnic areas, a behind the scenes peek at the restroom to see the magic behind every flush, but only if you're like, Greg, we want to go back to our patios, our pools, our gardens, our evenings. It is your call, but we can go out there for, 5-7 minutes, take a quick look see, then come back here and work through the rest of the agenda. So we got project updates, wetland park update, just kind of an update on park reservations, the system, and some numbers. Some thoughts and ideas on a parks maintenance building. So that we're not looking for decisions or anything on that, just kind of thoughts, ideas on that one. Upcoming CDBG project would be good to actually get some, where you're leaning towards this evening. It's also upcoming the city's 75th anniversary, and council want to go like parks is a good one to bounce around. And then any other open discussion. So that's our agenda this evening. And would we like a quick tour? Or just jump into the meat.
I toured it this morning.
Oh.
I did. It was open. so yeah.
I'd be interested. I don't know. Other people are.
Sure.
Tour?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm good to be here in the AC. I'm all right.
Boy, you hold the fort down.
I
Okay,
will do
Pat?
that. Yeah,
And watch the.
Watch it.
I will.
There you go.
It's very hot and you're wearing dark clothes. Good. Evening. You know what? What a fun. Yeah. Hot out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just over in east side all day. Adams and Hood River, it's warmer out there.
Yeah.
Trying to get it out of your way and.
Thanks so much.
Looks great.
For entertaining the quick tour. So just to recap again, we started this project a couple years ago.
Yeah, Golden State University, anyway.
The former facility was about 20 years old, and while looking at trying to rehab it because it needed some love, because it was prefabbed, just wasn't really economically feasible compared to just building something new that could provide more. So the funding came from Urban Renewal and ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act dollars. So those are one-time funds, and that seemed to make sense to invest in some infrastructure to boost up the community. The final cost, and I put the little squiggly because again, there's a couple little things still floating out, but essentially $618,000. Big investment when you think, it's an 8-pack restroom, but a lot goes into those things. And again, full cinder block construction. You couldn't see the trusses, but if there's a giant flood, there will be someone in the news floating down the Columbia on the truss system. It is so robust. And it not only increased it from, basically 6 facilities to 8, but those 8 are now individual. So again, it's a park, you got little kids that may need help or elderly that need help, or, it's to use the restroom that's available.
Yeah.
Again, we've got proper HVAC and ventilation. We can auto locking doors, increased lighting, and just easier to maintain overall. So any questions about the project?
What do you think the life expectancy is, just roughly?
I mean, I think we'll be doing painting, probably like wall painting, interior wall painting, well, anytime there's graffiti. But probably every 3 to 5 years. Floor, you figure 7 to 10. You know, the walls, the roof itself, I mean, those are like 50-year kind of deals. Plumbing, probably the hard line plumbing, probably 20. There's some gizmos and whatnot that actually when you push the button and that the valves, 10 to 15 years maybe. You know, lighting, it varies. We've already had some lights go out in this building, but it's the nature of some of those things. But again, it's something you can pop out, wire back in. So hopefully we've already structured in our budget, capital sinking fund for that. And again, anti-graffiti coating, probably 5 to 7 years. It does wear off over time. Other questions? Well, on the 8A pathway and picnic area, that was our 2025 community development block grant money project. So again, it added the ADA pathway. That was a big part, but then we uplifted, you know, it was a small picnic area there, so we really made it a little more robust, added the barbecues, also finished the picnic barbecue area on the Far Grove. We added 2 tables to that one. And benches around the splash pad. So that one came into just over 168,000. About 79 of that came from grant monies. So again, kind of the only remaining project is linking the two now, you know, kind of finishing the pathway directly to the restroom. But again, that's probably a $25,000 to $35,000 effort, but we will get to it. Questions on those projects before the wetland? So just a quick recap for those that may have forgotten or those watching from home. The city purchased the 4.5 acres from the Grand Ron in 2019 to increase our parks capacity based on the parks master plan and focusing on nature parks and nature education. We did a design that was finished in 2021. I've been working on essentially grant monies to build it since then. The engineer's estimate at that time was about $1 million to build out the boardwalk and kind of restore the wetlands. Since we're working on getting grants and have some time, we actually went back to both the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ron and a group called Wisdom of the Elders to look at the plants that were in the 21 plan to go, what is more indigenously significant and relevant and culturally important? And I know Becky worked on a lot. I don't want to put her on the spot, but we swapped out a lot of plants. So we got a list from both groups, sent that list to the horticulturalists who know what can thrive where, and swapped out, or in the process of still swapping out some of those plants. So there'll be a lot more culturally significant plants in our wetland. We did have to update the delineation report. The delineation report has been updated, but not yet submitted to the state for permitting. We were hoping it'd be in this week or next to state for permitting, but we're still hanging out on a couple little items with the consultants. So again, this is where it's located. We have Arata, Wood Village Boulevard. So it's about the 4.5 acres here. Again, kind of the half moon elevated pathway through the wetland, a bit of unencumbered, unrestricted space, but the bulk of it's just really restoring wetlands. To zoom in, again, this was the old planting list. A number of plants will be swapped out. Something that we heard from the Wisdom of the Elders, which I thought was funny, is while kinnikinnick, it actually is kind of a culturally important plant. They said everyone plants it and kind of checks the the box on the list. Can you plant something other than kinnikinnick? So I just thought that was kind of funny. So where we're at financially, so we did receive a $20,000 community enhancement grant, which we used to help update the delineation report this past fiscal year. But we did receive a $250,000 nature neighborhoods grant and the release of the Metro local share, $392,000. It's not really a grant. It was monies for each jurisdiction as part of, I think, the 2019 Metro Parks Bond. So each city got an allocation, but you had to meet certain requirements to get your allocation released. So we've done all that and have these two funding buckets. And And at the end of the month, I'll be going down to Salem to present to the State Parks Board for a nearly $300,000 grant for this project as well. So we submitted an application. It met the first round, so we made it to the interview round. So that'll be end of the month. We hear generally around end of September, October time on that. So in this year's budget, we do have $940,000 in the budget to actually start constructing this project. We're calling it Phase 1 because the important part is restoring the wetlands and creating the boardwalk. Things like the unrestricted space, which is still important, but that might be more of a Phase 2. We'll try to get as much signage as we can under Phase 1, but some of the more decorative signs and maybe more interpretive signs, fancy gateway features will be maybe part of a second phase, depending on some of the grants and where the project actually comes into bid at. So I was hoping the project be in the state for permitting. It's not quite yet. Probably within the next couple of weeks, it should be in the state for permitting. We are working on some outreach for that unencumbered space. So for permitting, we're calling it picnicking. That'll be fine because it'll probably be a later phase anyway. So we're trying to do some outreach with specific groups, organizations. I haven't quite started that process yet, but is picnicking fine? Do we want something more educational, something more meditative, culturally significant, kind of those types of buckets? It's not really set up for like active play recreation, but what would people want to see in the little pocket we have to kind of do something special? Also can do that outreach on the gateway element signage, and we hope to have the project out to bid in the wintertime for that we're under construction a year from now.
Is there any concern that picnicking could be in conflict with a wetland in that when trash blows, it's really hard to get out of a pond or a wetland area?
Yes, something
to consider.
Yes, and that's where again, kind of while we've programmed it for permitting purposes, like I said, that's kind of the latter part of the phasing of what will be there.
Yeah.
Certainly, if it does turn out like people want some picnicking opportunities, plenty of garbage cans with the lids. Any more questions on the wetlands? Next steps?
Oh, if this is Christine Bierman, if you start next summer, would it be completed within the summer's time? Or would it be like?
Probably because it's called the dry season. I think it's like June through September-ish. We'll see what they can get done.
Right.
I'd like to believe, again, it's not a simple project. It's also a pretty straightforward one. Unlike a restroom where, oh no, this utility line is not where it's supposed to be, or, oh gee, this doesn't fit like we thought. It's clearing out what shouldn't have been there in the first place and then replanting. We are at the night out, which is tomorrow, just shameless plug. Some early interest signups for if you're interested in doing a community planting day. We're trying to get some early interest in that twofold. One, it's just a nice involved community and a new park and things. We're also hopeful that if we have community help build the park, they'll help take ownership of the park, especially in those first early years when we need to do, we need to pull some weeds or whatnot, that those who help plant it will help maintain it. Because Christine knows very well, if you have an area that's just kind of been left and there's no ownership and you get the ivy, the blackberries, it can be very hard to get community involved in trying to clean that up. So we thought if we entice them to help make it theirs and they own a piece of it because they planted that area, that they'll help maintain it. Again, especially those first few years until the plant's established, which hopefully once really well established, invasives become less and less of a problem.
Right. This is Christine Bierman again. So some of you know that I'm working on native habitat in my own yard. And what I'm finding is it takes a while to see any results, like depending on the kind of plants they choose, but it could be a while before it really has that park feel, other than, of course, being in the space. Obviously, when you're in a park, but it won't feel like you're.
The plants will be really small.
Yeah. And some of those natives take a while. They're not like ornamentals. You don't get like instant color like with petunias.
It'll look like a lot of little grasses and little things scattered throughout, but come back in 5 to 7 years and like, wow, this is somewhere special. Well, it's always somewhere special. So a quick update on just park reservations since we're in the full swing of park usage. So about a year ago, we did update the park reservation policy. That was based on feedback from you all, took it to council for their adoption and approval. So it really did prioritize the Wood Village community members and groups or affiliates. For the first time, really divided up the multi-use field into functional zones because it was thought, yes, it's good people can reserve a section. It also needs to be open just for community to enjoy throughout, the day, week, or month. Also limited facility reservations to a 4-hour chunk of window. So it gives other people an opportunity to hold an event. Now, really exciting, this past March, we actually launched an online reservation system. So formally people had to, either call or go on our website, download a paper form or fill it out online, turn it in, see if the date was available, follow da. It's online where you can actually see a calendar is a space I'm looking at available, which includes, the gazebo, amphitheater, picnic shelter, field sections, and they can do a lot online now. So these are how the field sections are divided up. We get, a lot of people interested in field section 1 if they're doing like a birthday party in the picnic shelter, or if they want to do something in conjunction with City Hall. But a lot of reservations for this area, which I think are actually more recreation based, which is a big user of our system, which you'll see here. So these are just stats from March to July 1. And you can see, the field use, picnic shelter, all the other amenities there. And then when you look at who's using them, obviously you've got recreation and sports practices are big ones, not surprising, but you see, the birthday parties, little graduations, community, company events. So again, just from March, because this is using the new system, which can put out the stats really easily for us. There's a few more stats in your packet. I just want to mention that, it may look skewed that Fairview is a big user. That's actually thanks to Play East. So you can pull out a number of those, and it's actually quite a broad section of Wood Village based or Wood Village affiliates, and then some of our neighbor friends. Questions on just park reservations or usage?
I've heard comments that the system is very intuitive and they appreciate the quickness of seeing the dates available online. So it's not this kind of back and forth type of thing that other jurisdictions kind of have. So I think that was a great call for.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if someone doesn't have a computer or doesn't feel comfortable, like you call us, we will always find a way to help someone reserve a facility. It's not just online only. So this next section here, just want to really highlight that we're not really we don't need a decision tonight of, is this a good idea, where it needs to go? We're really just trying to introduce this, I call it a need, but there are no immediate plans to build it, site it, et cetera. It just kind of came up as part of the council retreat when we're looking at not just park maintenance, but our right-of-way vegetation maintenance, the events that we're doing, and our current storage capacities. It's like, yeah, we need a bit more room wouldn't be a bad thing for some of these equipments and supplies. So, council said, okay, well, you need to go to parks. So great, we'll go to parks. So, when we look at our current storage facilities, we have about 300 square feet in this building on the back side there for mostly event storage and some other things that come in. I've got an area of operations building to show, it's a good sized building, not going to lie. The outside is pretty constrained. And then inside we have, our backhoe, our dump truck, our bits and bobs and things. I don't know what they do, but they go in the dirt. And while it can store, we got our tractor, we got our zero turn, we got a little corner for maintenance. At some point we start running out of room.
And where is that other side?
Across the street. Again, I got an aerial. I'll show you where it's at, but it's across the street off of Shea. So the idea would be about a 40 by 60 steel building, so 2,400 square feet. For the bulk of it is equipment storage, a little workshop space, and then maybe a little office, little restroom kind of thing. No timeline on this. Certainly, it's not in this year's budget. Doubt it'll be in next year's, just because we've got some things on fire and some other priorities and things. So, you're looking at fiscal year 27, 28. So, 2 years from now at the earliest, depending on, again, how these conversations go and where budgets and other priorities go. So again, this is just a quick rendering. This is not what would be built, but the idea of a, fairly simple steel building. The event truck would live in it. So people stop getting free gas from it because it's not.
Oh, no, really?
But and different mowers, event truck. So just a, simple, but could be nice. Thing. So when staff, thinks about this, we're like, well, preferably it's on land we already own. So have to go buy land to store things on. Again, to keep costs down, where are utilities at? Water, sewer, electric, ideally close to where the bulk of the work is, which is the bulk is here. But again, we do work on Wood Village Boulevard, Halsey, our reservoir sites, new nature park. So Halsey will be at the bottom of your screen. This is Troutdale Sand and Gravel here. Tanny's is, just out of view here. So you'd go down that little road. Our Public Works Operations building is the one you would run into if you didn't stop or make a turn. And so you can see, the existing parking lot. We actually do still store some trailers and equipment outside. These are the bins for, rock and sand and whatnot. So no room there for a new facility. I didn't even put an aerial of like the front end of this park. It's like, well, that's just not an option.
Is that land, does the city own this land?
Yes, the city owns this square or trapezoid.
Parcel trapezoid.
Yeah. At some point in the future, whether it's, an idea for a building here or not, the Hawthorne area, we probably should just have a meeting on Hawthorne. I'm going to give a quick history of it, but we're not going to talk about it or its future per se. But basically, this whole section was supposed to be part of the Tree Hill Cottonwood development back in the 70s. The developer went bankrupt. It actually reverted to the county, foreclosed on it for tax purposes, and then was gifted to the city, I'm going to say somewhere in the mid 90s for the purposes of parks and open space. For 20, 30 years, it sat as neglected. Just people wandered through it as they wanted space. City got it, did some I'll call it trail improvements. I mean, there's some trail works, and we, a few years ago did a little gateway here that actually had been a little 20 by 20 shed here at one point. When the city first got it from the county, there was actually early plans of looking at what a community center, community garden could look like here. Didn't take. But again, as we know, Hawthorne is a great natural space. It's just kind of that, I don't want to say uncared for space, but when you leave things natural, nature takes over, sometimes not the way we intend. So blackberries, ivy, other stuff. So it's never purpose planted, purpose built. It's just nature as nature does. And it would be good to have conversations because we have some about, what about a nature play? What about a dog area? What about, at some point we need to talk about Hawthorne. But Hawthorne is a potential for this storage facility because that little shed actually had water, power, and sewer in it.
So those utilities are still in the ground? Wait, that's, yeah.
In the ground or nearby. So it would be where I'm circling right here with the little cursor, which has always been an interesting spot because sometimes we've tried to clean it up and then things happen. We try to clean up, things happen. So it would be, again, could be the storage building, and then we start building in the little concrete structures where, here's where the pathway chips go. Here's where the pathway rock goes. Here's where debris piles can go. A little more contained, or also where it's part of the park and part of like more of the natural part of the park. And so, we don't want to detract from that. So if that's an area like, well, open to it, but we're going to say we're committed to it. Great. What could vegetation screening look like? What could some other enhancements do that don't detract from the space? So, essentially this whole area is owned by the city. I think we were thinking more of this space because of the pre-existing utilities. In the spirit of lands we own, here's that 4.5 acres. It can't go there because it's all restricted wetlands. So what about the land adjacent to it? Well, it's not ours. Could it be ours? Some of it, maybe. We don't know what the Grand Ron's plans are. There had been talk of, what could housing look like? I mean, it's a Grand Ron, so it's a Grand Ron pleases. But in the sake of it's land we own this, can't go on this. It's also further away from where a lot of the maintenance occurs, but it's tossing that out there. The other thing is, for vacant land for sale right now today in Wood Village, there are 2 lots, both on C, so not really ideal. That building would not pass zoning or, design review. But just the cost, one is $300,000 and it's below grade, no access, and it floods every winter. The other one is about $1.2 million and it's across the street and probably not the highest best use of the dollars or the land for 2,000 square feet of storage.
You go back to the Hawthorne picture.
Yeah.
This, to the left of the screen, the open area there where there's a couple of
Disc golf.
disc golf
Mhm.
things there. What about that land? And I guess the other obvious question is access. I don't know if this is a public right of way or.
It is,
easement.
so this area from Tree Hill is not, that's private property. Could there be access from here to here? I'm going to say yes, there could. Should there? Probably not.
And so otherwise you'd have to negotiate with Tree Hill to get an easement through there. It's
Correct.
unlikely to happen.
It would be probably a difficult
Okay.
conversation. This area also gets very squishy,
Oh, I know.
which is why, thoughts of dog parks haven't really materialized. Even the nature play was,
Yeah, it can be swampy.
Quite muddy, yeah. Okay.
yeah. Fine for disc golf, because they play the holes or not.
Because when you look at the map, it's like, oh, there's some open flat land.
Yep. And obviously this is the trail system and there's some creeks and things.
Thank you. That explains that. Access would be the number one issue, I guess, then too.
So just hearing that, again, not making decisions, you can say one thing today, the next meeting, completely change your mind, but just pausing right now just to hear your thoughts, initial ideas, concerns, hopes and dreams.
So I live on Hawthorne, so my question, it doesn't, I think, just pertain to me, but if we were to locate a storage facility right there where it's basically an ugly spot, like it really is, like it's kind of
You wouldn't put a photo of it in a magazine.
there you go. But I'm wondering more than about a different use of that space. I'm wondering about traffic and
Mhm.
like with that, that road's so tiny. Well, all the roads are tiny, but if we're now having city vehicles in there more regularly, going back and forth, like I'm trying to envision like how much more traffic or noise we might have. 'Cause-
So in terms of like material supplies, it's where they get either dropped off or picked up anyway.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be much different than what it already is, other than hopefully be a little more contained from a visual perspective.
Right.
In terms of then like workers coming to the site, right now we have a groundskeeper. And so he'd probably still, I don't know if he'd report there or report to ops, get a city truck.
I mean, he'd likely probably still go to ops, get the gator, grab a mower and go
Yeah.
mow. come back
Usually
with a mower.
our grounds people tend to either they drive around the city with a gator, a mower, or a tractor.
Right.
And so from that perspective, and it would, my guess is, again, we may have a gator there, maybe the gator's there, but again, they go along the trail systems.
Yeah.
There would be a building there that would change. I don't think from a coming and going would really be much different. There would be, again, say the tractors and mowers are there and they do hose them off, after the day's use. So there'd be more activity than today, but if it's not, dozens of employees reporting to work there or, a lot of different vendors coming and going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that clears it up a lot for me. And so there wouldn't necessarily be like employee parking there. Like I'm thinking about the current facility and
No, I think,
Overhead.
I mean, obviously
and I'm thinking all that parking.
the pad, no, the pad itself would have to be, concrete and whatnot for the building. We would probably either concrete the pads for the material bins. I think the rest would probably be gravel, maybe a little more asphalt just for, you don't want to track out or, make it a mess. But
Right.
the thought was to try to leave it as natural as possible
Yeah.
through that area.
Of natural, I know we've talked a lot and you've talked a lot more over the many years of the corner out here at Halsey and whatever that side street is called.
Mhm.
There's not much else that, I mean, people don't enjoy hanging out there.
Again,
it's so
a
noisy.
great area of the park that, along with Hawthorne, we need to figure out
Yeah.
kind of gazebo north. Gazebo south, it's actually quite activated with the picnicking and barbecuing and a lot of great shade.
Gazebo
But
north.
yeah, from kind of gazebo north, it's no one.
Good access for vehicles coming in and out. It's not visible from here hardly.
If you all say, hey, that's worth exploring, I just didn't think front end of the park, but
Say more about
You
that.
also have a lot of trees down there you'd have to take out to put a building
That
there.
is never a good idea.
Yeah, and we've kind of tossed some different concepts around. Nothing's quite stuck for that area yet, but the nature play. We did have somebody out from a design engineering company to look at the frontage here for skate park. And we had that person also look at that area to see what ideas they came up with. The skate park is very hard under trees.
Mhm.
It doesn't work there. She figured you could maybe get like a half pike on this frontage, just because of the trees. The Grove area, she thought would be most feasible for what they call pump track. So like for bikes, they just get little bumps and hills and stuff like that and make like a natural kind of track. But there are a lot of really large trees actually scattered through
and tree
there.
roots.
And tree roots. So, and you don't, and then you also have the utility consideration too for where you're locating.
Hmm.
And that would be, while not maybe visible from this part of the park, it would be right on Halsey and.
Very visible to the rest of the city too,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
But again, thank you for that because that is an area of the park that we really should just, as the Parks Committee, just kind of brainstorm.
Mhm.
Hawthorne brainstorm that. The rest of the park is kind of, I looked at the master plan like, well, we've done that, we've done that. Done that.
Yes, done a lot.
If we were to locate the building on the Hawthorne end, would it be possible for us to get like some kind of public restroom, bench, water and or regular garbage can at that end of the park?
Well, we probably should just, I'm gonna write down garbage can now.
Yeah.
Because we can probably get a garbage can, before 2 fiscal years from now.
That's not a bad concept though for people on the trails. Because there's nothing once you're out there.
I think that's certainly something,
Doesn't have to be.
again, Hawthorne's always been kind of this odd little oddity because again, it's on a small street. You don't necessarily want to induce a lot of park use on a small dead end street. And so, but as a Parks Commission, like, well, but a lot of people use it and could use maybe some minimal facilities to enhance the experience as part of a different project. I mean, you tell us what you would like to see there. Certainly, I think,
A bathroom, because people are peeing in the woods. I mean, the disc golfers are.
Oh.
Also do it at Edgefield, honestly, because I walk out of Edgefield a lot and they don't have any restroom out there either.
Certainly if there's, a built building, things like a drinking fountain become easier as part of a bigger project versus if you're just trying to put in a drinking fountain, well, it's way more than the cost of the fountain because you have to do some extra work other than like it's a small add-on to a larger project. I think a concern in the past about Hawthorne is, okay, people are hanging out, but why and what are they doing? And do benches, again, facilitate a positive park experience or are they facilitating something different?
It's mostly walkers, dog walkers and disc golfers. I think that a lot of it boils down to those two people.
But again,
Two groups of people.
if maybe as part of a storage building, we really, if not maybe all of this, but what does maybe this area look like and what could that reasonably facilitate? I mean, I think
I'm
that's,
worried if you put too many facilities in, you might have people parking in front of your homes.
Well,
Exactly.
I'm just thinking of the people who are already using it
Yeah.
and it's getting so hot, and not to have.
I think
Water,
the
drinking.
signage would do really well also, like,
That we said sign.
signage, some type of like city building, to not attract, folks to say, oh, maybe there's something there that we can use as a public, right? So saying, staff only or something like that, but have some amenities available for the public, trash cans,
Fancy,
benches,
schmancy.
water.
But-
Just some really basic.
again, an idea could be maybe there's a door off to the side that then from the interior perspective is completely walled off. You can't dig or crawl through, but that's a public little restroom. That's,
Just-
again, open a short window of time through the more of the day hours. We're not even talking evening, but like, yeah, it's,
Or
Well,
if you even wanted to,
Or something,
well,
something like that.
something.
I mean, it's not as attractive, but if during the summertime, you'd want to bring in one of those nice porta potties, the ones that are self-contained, they even have a little sink inside.
No, I know, I laugh because I know what those cost.
Oh, I know, but I'm thinking,
And
anyway,
then you have to have it.
I'm clean.
No,
No, but anyway, it's just a thought.
I think you're trying to solve a real problem of game players, or I always forget, disc golfers and others.
Frothers.
And they're such a fun
Frothers.
bunch.
What?
It was like frothing or something.
Oh, for goodness sakes, now I learned something new again today.
I just do this and people know what I mean.
They're the happy golfers because they walk on the trail right, behind the back of my property and they're always happy. Like they might be happy because they're naturally happy, they're happy because they're playing the sport, or maybe there's substance
they're
enhanced.
drunk and they're
Happy.
smoking pot is what they're so
And
happy.
they're having fun. I never hear swear words.
And they're doing it
like-
responsibly.
It's like,
Hey.
They're
Exposing them
they're
everything
really good
properly.
time, have a good experience.
No vandalism.
But anyway, yeah, but just some little concerns.
I think just, other thoughts, ideas, concerns.
Leasing lanes?
I don't know if you'd park the gator there, but if in the future, could we go electric or battery operated with the gator? At some point, have a charging station there?
I think, short answer is, at some point we're going to have to. What's interesting is when you think like the commercial landscape industry, which is, well, we don't do it commercially. That's the equipment we use, is that it's slowly moving there. So, yeah, short answer is yes. And I think as the technology changes, as we replace equipment and we look at pricing, I think that'll just be kind of more of a natural iteration of swapping out powered for alternative energy items, whether it's the big mowers, leaf blowers, weed eaters, transportation units. Now, is that going to be, we don't replace our gators often. So is that going to be in 5 years? Is that going to be in 12 years? Somewhere in there, we probably will be swapping out a gator, and what's available at that time, I don't know that. But certainly that is something we do talk about, and PGE talks about, because it is different power demand for some of those things than your standard, 200 amp service, for example. But absolutely, as technology changes and as standards change, so shall we.
Thank you.
This is not an easy problem to solve.
That's why council gave it to you. What about this? It seems like, and we've known this, we need to talk about Hawthorne at some length. What is its purpose? How about we just start structuring what is this area? What's acceptable? What's not? What are the concerns with different improvements? Who are we trying to serve? And what is in the maintenance of what that may look like? Is that a reasonable place to kind of move forward on without, not saying the building will or will not go there. We're not saying improvements will or will not go there, but it seems like there's interest. We should talk about Hawthorne more. Is that?
This is Christine Bierman again with a question. So I'm not really well versed with the master plan, but does it include this area specifically? No, it's remarked.
Yeah, Hawthorne's always kind of been, I don't want to say don't touch it kind of area.
Natural nature area.
But Mother Nature is just kind of running the show out there.
And again, I mean, that as I said, really goes back to, well, before the city had it, it truly was that because no one was maintaining it. But even when the city got it from the county in the mid-90s, there were some plans really in this frontage area, and it was don't touch it. So Hawthorne's always been a little different, but that's okay. We do as a community so desires.
Is it possible to involve the community in the new conversations in some
Always.
way?
Always, especially those that live on Hawthorne, because I mean, for some that have lived there, whether you live there for a couple years or a couple decades, I mean, you get used to, hey, this is a nice dead end street. And I like that it's a nice dead end street. You know, how improvements may or may not change that, I can't predict. I think it is pretty reasonable to say whatever may or may not be built here, in at least the foreseeable future, isn't necessarily going to be a large park attractant that we're like, oh no, go drive down to Hawthorne and enjoy the blank. It's, at least this area is ugly. I think, I mean, you said it, so I think I can say it.
Well, Greg, in the past, when it was pushed to have the road made there from Tree Hill to Hawthorne, that was a really lousy idea. The former mayor, Scott Harden, was pushing for that because he didn't want to make a left turn out of Tree Hill. But with that being a road, we would have all this traffic that didn't want to make a left turn out of Tree Hill going right by our house. So, you know, people were vehemently against that for that reason.
And I have no plans to put in a road there.
Good, because I would have to tell your mom and dad.
Honestly, that surface, I get a little scared that people think, oh, they're going to build road. I'm like, I'm just trying to
I've
put
seen
new
a
chip
car
down.
go up there. A guy in an SUV went to almost a turn and then he was looking around and we said, this isn't a road, it's a trail. And so he backed down
Yeah,
slowly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think there are some, I think we moved some boulders around and but people will drive where they want to drive and find a way. We've also heard very clearly from both Tree Hill and, others that we don't need a road here. Cool. I don't need a road there if it's not wanted.
Right, exactly.
The other thing,
would-
I use this entrance into the park twice a day sometimes. And since we don't have sidewalks in this little village, I think we can't forget to put that into the equation. Traffic and walking a dog, this is a major dog walking access point,
Yes.
is a conflict.
Mhm.
So the more cars that are attracted to the front of your homes, the worse everybody's life is.
No kidding.
It's just,
And I think that's the balance. What improvements, if any, could be done here that enhance it without really driving? If someone wants to enjoy the disc golf,
Mhm.
you're enjoying disc golf from here and you're walking through it and, oh, neat, there's a spot to get happier or
There you go.
there's some ways to use a bench. Maybe there's some minor amenities for those who are already using it as they currently using it, that we're not driving. I think we've heard that very clearly. Don't drive more traffic to this specific entrance.
as a destination.
Correct. But there are people who do use it. And again, this really doesn't reflect, I think, the rest of our park in terms of aesthetics. Now, we've done some work and it's better than it's been.
But it isn't, yeah. It isn't.
Again, if we're thinking of the park, we're not going to take a photo of that and say, look at our beautiful park.
I think that should be a very minimal anything to it. Like you say, a bench or just something very simple. Dragging a bunch of people. Nobody's gonna go there anyway, except a few people that are gonna go there.
But it's currently being used
Mhm.
for
For stuff, like we say,
for stuff, right?
and we pick up.
So, yeah,
Wood.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to have a place for that stuff.
Yeah.
You're right, it could be better organized.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, some bins or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, this area gets squishy and so then it compound. I mean, Yeah.
I
But-
mean, I've only been in my house on Hawthorne for 2 years, but in my experience, and you know, I've been teaching, so I'm not home all day, but very few people actually park their cars and go into the park that way. In fact, what happens more often, just happened even last night, somebody will pull up and they'll realize, I guess they GPS it, and they realize, oh, this isn't the front of the park. And then they'll literally back out. and
What
go.
also happens, people try to find a way around the hill. This ain't it.
Anyway, yeah, it's more the concert goers who they'll kind of slip in despite all those signs.
Which, so since you brought it up, I mean,
Yes.
it's a public street for public
Yeah.
parking.
Yeah.
It's nice that Edgeville does as a courtesy to try to drive their traffic to their property. But it's public street for public parking.
I know.
I would do the same thing instead of dealing with that.
Because they don't block driveways, and I don't see the problem with
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it sounds like go ahead and start without making attractions to drive more traffic. But what are some opportunities? And then also what are the impacts and challenges of those opportunities? Is that
Maybe you could,
throw together some ideas, some
Yeah.
concepts?
costs might be,
Yep.
you know.
And again, not going to happen this fiscal year and probably not next. So else before we move on to the next one. So this one, actually, it would be great if you could come up with like, hey, it'd be great to do this project or this type of project. That'd be great. So CDBG, that's Community Development Block Grant money. The city gets that every other year. I'm going to caveat it this year. So it's federal funds through federal HUD, pass through to Multnomah County, pass through to us and other organizations and entities. With everything going on, I think holistically funding wise, I think we're all very hopeful this program will continue as it has. We don't know that it will. So I'm going to hedge all this on, this is how it's typically gone. We don't know what the next round will look like just yet. Us and Fairview are the only eligible cities in Multnomah County for this style of project. So we play nice, and every other year we take the grant, which is, 75 to 80,000 is kind of the ballpark. The number changes every time. The projects have to be spent essentially on a public project, most likely some kind of capital project. And we've done a lot in the park with these. So we've obviously just saw the 8A Pathway and Picnic, but we did the ball field. When I say ball field restoration, that was we placed some fencing, the bleachers, some things with that. Also, the first phase of the Grove picnic area, we resurfaced a basketball court with it. We did an irrigation enhancement and expansion and enhancement. We also did those initial Hawthorne Trailhead improvements with the columns and the better gate with CDBG funds. Now, it doesn't have to be spent in the park. We've also done water projects, sewer projects. We could do, curb ramps or other public-based capital projects. So for the park, we've got the wetland park, and that's going to consume a lot of resource. So CDBG could be just a nice natural fit to make sure we can get as much done as possible in the first phase. Throwing out nature play, because that does have a design. There hasn't been a lot of enthusiasm or support for it in any really location, or is that the best use of funding or amenities? I put skate park. It is in the master plan. There is no design, as you already heard. I wouldn't be the best skate park. And, and then, the pump track, again, no design, no real discussion with you all on it, but those are options. Other things that could be remaining in the master plan are more like 7-figure things, like, an entire sports field enhancement with lighting and turf and, formal track, like stuff we've never been really touched on, and the CDBG grant wouldn't get us there. There again, we definitely have water projects we're working on. We have sewer projects we're working on. And, I say 8A curb ramps because the RFB crosswalks, those are about $200,000. Curb ramps are, $35,000 to $50,000 a piece. So that's why I didn't put the crosswalks, but crosswalks are also, an option. So very quick slide on all of that, but of these or others that you may think about or have ideas of, what's resonating with you?
Could the money be used, curb ramp to go across for the ADU?
Yes.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking, because we not only need that ADA pathway across, but we also don't really have a true walking
From
entrance
Halsey.
from Halsey into the park.
Oh,
So that was kind of another consideration. And maybe the two tied together could be a potential project.
So yes.
That would be, pretty good.
Another question, last time we met, there was discussion about upgrading the playground area.
that was my
New
question.
ground and stuff, and what's the status of that? And you'll probably say, why is it not on the
Yeah,
list?
I probably should have given an update on the playground because at the Easter egg event, so at our last meeting, you said, generally we like, we don't need a super fancy aesthetic one because at some point that's no longer new. Ooh, it looks like a tree. Well, great. It looks like a tree 10 years from now. That's not new. You said, keep it simple. But the question was, would you want a bigger structure or a smaller, it's kind of same size structure and same swings, less swings, bigger structure. So we took that question to the Easter egg hunt, which had a ton of kids and ton of families. And we pretty much asked that question. And it was overwhelmingly, we'd rather have a bigger structure. Kind of take out the one section of swings, just have the one set and use that whole area for a structure. So that's where we've left it. Again, I think we're more programming the playground replacement fiscal year after next. So more work to do then on refining the different components and elements. So, could CDBG use for a playground replacement? Short answer is yes. I don't think this one's going to line up with that timing as, you can push a CDBG project for, is it 7 years? Oh, well, there. But yes, it is an option, put it that way.
Because that was on the list before these things.
Yeah.
Is why I was bringing that up.
Well, I think Wetland Park was
Oh, yeah.
right in there.
different. You're right. No, I meant like on this property, so.
Correct, yes.
Well, my thought is, I do agree about maybe using the money on the ADA ramps over there to kind of finish that off and not just leave it, undone. But if there were other ways to use it, I would like to see the wetland park like developed fully, as fully as we can. So if the money could be used, that would be like my second inclination. But I do have I have a question. I'm not even sure if it fits this discussion, but I'm wondering more about that crossing there on 238th and Arata.
At the intersection itself?
Yeah, I'm wondering about pedestrian safety. Like, is that more of a roads thing, or is there a way to create more infrastructure there to ensure like pedestrian safety, like specific walk lights that can be operated by pedestrians, with the flashers? and things
Along
like
with
that?
the signal, or are we not talking at the signal?
No, it's more like, I'm not sure if we'd want to go as far as like Gresham did, but in the middle of 223rd between Stark and Burnside,
Mhm.
they put in that infrastructure, like right in the middle of, there's like no crossing for blocks and blocks, right? And they put the infrastructure there. But either that or just more simply pedestrian operated crossing, so they don't have to wait for the full light on 238th to cross. Or with the flashing lights too. So as soon as the pedestrian crossing, there's flashing lights. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. So I'm gonna
Like
answer.
trip kind of crossings, what I
So
mean?
I'm going to answer your question with an ask then, because right now Multnomah County is doing a traffic safety action plan.
Yeah.
And 238th, essentially from Sandy, well, all of it is kind of a consideration of what can be done to improve, I think, all modes of transportation. So I will have it in the weekly update again tomorrow. So I've had it in a few past ones. So if you could take that and you input that, that's a great one, because it's a county road as part of a large like East County effort to look at, especially the main thoroughfares of our transportation network, on how to, I think, just how all modes of transportation whether you're walking, biking, transit, car, truck, can move around our region and do it safely.
Yeah,
Because another big thing is actually enforcement. And what can we do now that Oregon statute allows for all cities to use photo radar cameras for speed and red light cameras? There's some interest in a larger coalition or collaborative of a network of that.
oh,
And what could that mean and what could that do? So I would say yes, and there's actually an effort underway right now looking at that. So please take a few minutes to do the survey, put those thoughts in so it's captured as part of this larger effort.
right, right. And
Um,
so, the city, I mean, can the city also bring more pressure or influence to bear on the plan with?
The city had a hard enough time getting a row
I-
permit to
I-
put in the
I think
last
you guys
crosswalk.
have more weight. The more you guys mention those things, the more we can say, our community is pushing for this, and that's how we
'Cause
can help.
we've been pushing for more and better street lighting for at least 5 years, and you could see how many new streetlights we don't have. It took us a month and a half to get the permit to do the newest crosswalk on Wood Village Boulevard when we already had an IJ with the county to build it. Every single, well, I guess the one on Sandy, that's half in our city, was built by the county. All the other 4 RFB crosswalks, flashing light ones, the city built and paid for all of those. The county has
Oh.
not.
Like these
Yeah.
ones on Halsey.
Yeah.
City paid for those.
But I think again, if you guys say it,
Your voice matters more than mine.
we push what your voice said. So if we're the only ones pushing, they're like, eh, but if there's someone of a community member and then we're pushing, they'll hear that louder.
I'm just thinking it's so much better to have these, and it's not really, fancy or necessarily very expensive
Well,
infrastructure, but
those are the $200,000 to $250,000 crossings. That's
yeah,
what they cost.
well, but compared to human life, I mean,
Well,
and there's a lot of use there. I'm impressed by the number of pedestrians.
Mhm.
I think it's really great to see people out walking, but I want to make sure it's okay.
correct. And yes, compared to a life, no, that's not a lot of money. Compared to the city's budget and CDBG funding,
Yeah,
Money.
it's hard to
Okay.
fit that in a project.
yeah, I didn't even know if it fell within the parameters of what we're talking about, but it has been a concern.
And last thought I had on that is that where it does intersect with us and the park is that there are a lot of kids that live on the other side of 238 who bounce their basketballs down our street here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I've heard a few things. So I've heard, yep, wetland park. I've heard cool, more ADA connectivity and accessibility, and I've heard safer, pedestrian routes.
And if you've got 7 years,
So while you may have 7 years, the county really doesn't
What you don't-
like that. We can hear stories from call it a certain neighbor of ours that has been backed up for a while because you still have to you have to track it that whole period of time.
Oh,
So from a Wood Village perspective, we like to just get in, get out, get it done, move on to the next
did
one.
you have other funding lined up for the playground expansion? I guess I'm not sure why you don't want to use this money for it.
We're actually putting reserves away for the playground replacement.
Out of general fund,
And we've done that, the past
2
couple of,
years.
yeah,
So
We-
there's a
past
growing
years.
fund that will be
Correct.
available when you're ready to do it.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Maybe in 2 additional years, that CDBG, if it's still around, could more
Correct.
align better with at that time, that budget
Correct.
Gotcha.
I like the idea of just finishing off the ADA pathway and then.
I really like a walkable
And then
entrance.
yeah, and then,
From Halsey.
connecting the Halsey to the park with the walkway. I think that's a great kind of like, let's finish.
Yeah.
Completely. So
Mhm.
right. Do it correctly.
I like that.
We're just kind of like,
And that would cover about 75 to 80 for those 2 things.
I am sure,
The city-
but by the time you get done with design and construction, yes.
And that's what the city usually puts in a bit of money on top of it we try to keep the project around. I mean, this one went a little more than what we'd like. We try to keep it like 125, 130. So the city has a pot to go with it, makes a nice, strong application. So yeah, I would like
Match.
to think in that 100 and call it 15 to 125, we could do something really nice off of Halsey that links into what's already accessible and then finish the connector way. I think we can, that seems pretty reasonable.
And I know a few years ago, there was a conversation about signage
Mhm.
around the city for parks. Could that also be included in this CDBG signage?
For like around the city or in the park itself?
Around the city, mention of the park,
Mm.
looking at Hawthorne also saying,
Don't come here.
like,
Not this
just,
way.
pedestrian access only type of signage, avoiding that saying, there is public entrance, but not like motor vehicles, looking at things of those natures that can help kind of,
I'm
I
gonna say, I
don't wanna say
mean,
fill in, the grant, but what else could also be kind of,
Well, the other thing that we had tossed out for the park that we could circle back to is lighting. We added a lot with the restroom, but we were still
we were trying to think.
trying to add maybe like it to the picnic shelter.
Trying to work with
some other-
PGE and, really, again, more of the front end of the park, leave the nature thing, more dark and natural. That one would probably, if we're thinking to fill one that's a little, I don't say baked or straightforward, we'd want to make it, what is the right signage plan, and craft the where, the what is on county right away and
Right.
I think we could put together a lighting package with PGE in a quicker time frame than the work we'd wanted to work with you all and others on like what's needed for community signage around parks and recreation opportunities. If that makes sense. I'm not saying we can't do, we certainly can add signs, especially on city right away. But part of a larger strategy and wayfinding, I think we'd want to take some time to do a larger strategy around wayfinding versus some ADA and look at lighting. I think that seems like a nice, reasonable package.
Particularly after the next park is finished, the wayfinding really might make sense because now your parks are all
We have
established.
parks.
Exactly. So for the pathway between here and Halsey, the ADA pathway, would there be some lighting there along the way too? I'm just thinking people accessing in the evening or.
Well,
Would there be a,
so
light?
there is lighting. We'll have to kind of take a look and see where
It's going to come off of.
we can pull a path, and whether or not we need a walking path regardless. I don't know how difficult it would be to make a full ADA one, from Halsey, but
Yeah,
at a minimum,
It's some interesting grades, kind of
yeah.
picnic shelter to Halsey. It goes a few different directions and none of them meet ADA.
Oh.
The natural slope is too steep.
yeah.
going down from this parking lot.
But I think certainly we can look at kind of front end lighting. Yeah, what does front end lighting look like and where can we pull existing lines from existing lights and could that shine over part of a pathway and over more parts of the parking lot and so ADA and lighting.
Like that.
We will take that to council and get their stamp and then staff will start putting a package together for the actual grant application. So we'll keep you in the loop.
And then if, because I serve on the CDHS for, City of Gresham, and I know that funding is really fragile.
Yeah.
Like we had to cut our budget by almost $1 million out of 3. If the funding doesn't come through, then is there like a plan B?
I mean, if funding doesn't come through, I think we'll still program in the budget, at least do that connector from the trail to the restroom. I mean, that when we built this year's budget, we didn't know about that at that time. Otherwise, I think we would have just put it in this year's budget to
Right.
finish the project. So that, I think, from a staff priority, I think, we can probably with a good likelihood of a council priority, like, no, we should have that as a full ADA pathway. So even if we don't get CDBG funding, I have a good confidence, again, there's some unknowns in our budget with fire and some other things, but I'd like to believe we can squeeze in that size of a project. I'll just hang out a bottle drop if I have to. And
Bring blue bags.
okay, so while today may be Walt Disney's 70th birthday, yeah, my shameless plug for that. Next February 9th will be the city's 75th birthday celebration. So it'll be 75 years since our incorporation. So it's not necessarily when the city was built, but first incorporated was February 9th, 1951. And so when the city did its 50th, I was there for it as a youth. But it was held at the former dog track because it was off season. So it had, a nice indoor venue for February 9th. It had some refreshments. At that time, there'd been people who lived here kind of since the start, and they gave some speeches and poster boards of the life of yesteryear and cake and fireworks. I mean, that was the event. So the question is, we put together $7,500 in the budget this year for kind of celebrate 75 years of awesomeness. So it's really, what do you want to do? So just again, these are potentials, brainstorming. Hopefully we can start building towards something. Certainly don't need this is what we're doing, but we, working towards some more solidified ideas. So we could hold a special event, and is that on February 9th, which I don't know the day of the week that is at the moment. Should have looked that up. Or is it just, we do something special at each of our standard events celebrating it? Do we just hang? People love events on a Monday. Do we, instead of our standard village banners, do we do something special for 75? Do we, in the newsletters, website, in our electronic little sign out there, just, fun facts from days of old and kind of neat tidbits of the history? Do we combine, some of these ideas and sprinkle them throughout the year or at events? I think I'm just going to throw this one out. I don't like throwing wet blankets on brainstorming idea, but an event in February is difficult because we no longer have a very large venue to use for an indoor space. And while we love this space and it's great for some smaller events, if we want to do a big to-do, I don't think we can fit it in here, and I don't know where else we can put it. Think
Might be
we,
a nice storm.
a big, an ice storm. So I just want to caveat, a special event on the date has some difficulties, but again, don't want to quash brainstorming, because if you say, no, we're doing a big to do with a drone show, we will find a way to do it.
We please have no fireworks.
We can have no fireworks.
Set up to the top with fire.
Oh, yes. I wonder if there's a way we can do something that would have been likely to happen in 1951. I mean, now that you mentioned there's not enough public space, I was thinking like a sock hop would be really fun, a community sock hop, like something that, community would have done in 1951.
We can see it would be in Troutdale, but Reynolds has some dance space.
Yeah.
Celebrating 75 years in another city.
Is there anything you guys have been waiting to, a logo or any other signage or anything like that could be incorporated and launched at this time?
We've kind of, done that. A lot of our stuff still has, the round logo, but we've actually adapted it to fit other, what do you call it, more rectangular, kind of linear. We used to have what we called the big lollipop signs, like off Halsey and Sandy. They actually didn't conform with uniform man on traffic control devices, so they were illegal. So when they needed to be replaced, we already did a design. It actually to me, it looks like kind of retro.
Just wondering if you've got something that you've been kind of thinking about anyway. Maybe the 75th would be a good time to launch a new look if you were aiming for.
I laugh because we actually did get some new branded city gear, and because we've had some t-shirts say "Where the heck is Wood Village," and it was little star on the state and whatnot. Took it, I don't want to say too far, but basically it says it's "Ask me where the heck is Wood Village," but has Bigfoot on it. So we try to keep already kind of current on some of
Often that's
the imagery,
Like,
but
you know-
but could we do something special for 75th? Yes. Like I said, with maybe with the banners,
How
you
many
know-
events do you have during the year? I mean, like every single holiday, it seems.
So I'm just going to start from what I call the start of our event year, which I always call it Easter, because that's the first event of that new calendar year. So we have Easter. We then move into cleanup day. We then have night out. We then do like a rec night, which we partner with Play East on, Pumpkin Fest. And then I would say like the Thanksgiving holiday food meal programs are always kind of a distinct thing that we're also reimagining anyway, so I'm not going to count those. And then we wrap up with tree lighting. We then get community grant opportunities, like we've been heavily involved in Hispanic Heritage Month, which is in September. We haven't really actively participated like in Run for the Red, that's Emilio Inc. It's a
Mental health.
thank you. It's like, it's not social health, it's awareness advocacy, especially for teens and youth. And there's been a World No Tobacco Day, kind of again, that public health event in our park. So, I mean, there are a number of events that occur that could you sprinkle in, is it special stickers? Is it a special amenity because it's the 75th? Kind of tell me what would be meaningful.
I mean, this is more static and not high techy, but is there a way to have people bring in memorabilia who have been in the area for a while? To somehow display in a public?
So I'm because we actually have we have old utility bills. See, the city actually has some older stuff. We even have police badges when the city used to have its own police department.
A concept I shared with Greg was, it'd be, understand that it's in February, but
Yeah.
limitations there. What if we use night out as like the event? It's already kind of our summer festival, summer events. Enhance that a little more. Or utilize an existing events. Kind of not put extra burden on staff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So you like the idea of having one event versus sprinkling through the other 8 to 10 that were listed?
I'm, for me, yeah, it is our more biggest, well, besides how the Easter used to be, but it's our biggest event, right, within our community.
Yeah.
Respected community, and
Which is tomorrow, by the way, 5 to 8.
Yeah. But I think there's something there already. Could we enhance it a little better? Being our 75th,
I think that's a great idea.
I heard something about fireworks.
No. No,
How about firecrackers?
no.
so.
You can have a firework drone show at the night out. That would be stellar.
Drone show could be cool. It would have to be, kind of later, because they work best when it's a little dark out. Does everyone know what a drone show is first? I don't want to talk. So I think they're really cool coming from someone who doesn't mind professionally done firework displays, not rogue people doing illegal things. I'm just going to caveat that. But it's a nice alternative to fireworks. Basically, you get, I don't know if it's thousands of drones, but I think in some cases, thousands of drones, yay size to yay size, not like the big, aircraft style, but and they're coordinated with different lights and programming where basically it's a big image in the sky. I've seen them where basically it looks like a dragon's flying and it's breathing fire. It's looked at, for a soccer event, someone's playing soccer and, kicking the ball around. It's basically like a 15 to 20 minute visual display of lights using drones to create like a jumbotron in the sky for visual effects.
They've done fireworks with those without the
Yeah.
noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like the light.
Like a laser light show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who does that? Who puts it on?
If that's something you're interested in, I will find out. I know there are several companies.
Lot of companies. Yeah.
well, maybe that could be something special. Bring us back more information so we can make a decision on it.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to cost,
Like costly.
and that's the thing, it's like, well, cool, but not at that price.
Yeah.
Great. But if it's something like, well, get us a price, get us some options. I'm happy to have Caroline look that up.
I think you should. I think that could be a huge draw because a lot of people wouldn't come to City Night Out. They don't really know what it is,
Oh.
you know, but if I know there's a drone show, I'm probably coming.
Well, it might work because it's nice, we have the night out from 5 to 8. So you could still have like the night out 5 to 8, but at 10 o'clock, it's a drone show. So vendors can unpack from the field area. So the field area could be open for.
It's and chairs.
Mhm.
The other thing about getting a bid for it, I mean, a lot of drone shows, you want to have it customized. You want it to be able to do your logo and
Yep.
this and that. But it might be cheaper if they've got another one that is only partially customized. They've got a stock show that could be still really celebratory. Particularly if it's Oregon-ish,
Mhm. Like, yeah, like waterfalls, gorge, trees.
Yeah,
Mountains.
nature stuff
Yeah.
and, yeah, families and stuff that still kind of represent the values of our community.
Just wonder if,
You don't pay extra.
something that says Wood Village is the best, high enough that all the other cities can.
We'll make sure Chris is out here with that one.
I like the banners. Out on the street, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
You said banners, is that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So is a small parade down Halsey Street leading into the park, a thought or, I mean, I love parades.
In the. I want to say, yeah.
Down, put it down. Like,
Maybe a rat about Halls.
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
That was-
yeah, all right, yeah.
I
that
forget
would be a
why
good
we
option.
quit doing those. We used to do them.
And county transportation.
Yeah.
It was a two-party against us on the road they own.
But maybe we could start early with that.
It is possible.
Okay, well,
Some
I
others
think
to
parades
support.
are. a great
Halsey, I think would be difficult. Errata is probably
Yeah.
a little more
Yeah.
realistic. So could there be again, bringing it back parade for the night out just for the 75th is, like a thing. I think if we work early, and we get some political capital, we can probably get something put together.
Okay. And as far as like the monthly newsletter, would there be a way to have like a page a month that would be somehow
Historical.
showcase something about the past? Like maybe, the different decades or,
Yeah, what was, big projects or what was new? Absolutely.
interview, past community leader, what have you?
When the city celebrated its 30th Easter egg hunt, about the month leading up to it, it says about 30 days ahead, I actually found old photos from some of the first hunts and put them on our website as like a growing slideshow.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can put together, whether it's in a newsletter or social, like in the newsletter, monthly kind of social media stuff, a special sign that changes on our electronic one, celebrating 75 years of being amazing.
Of being better than fair. Yeah.
That actually brings me to my other idea. Is there any tagline or message or value statement or anything that you want to get out there? This could be a good time to do that when people might be
Like a
paying more
slogan
attention.
of some kind?
Yeah, I'll say short answer is yes. Which one or ones of the several? I mean, I think if we want to develop something different, again, we can kind of maybe. How about this? In the next parks meeting, I'll bring back what we already have and how we use it. And then, how could that work and or what could we add that still fits within, the culture of the
So
philosophy?
there's a little bit more of a messaging story around the event, 75 years of or, and now we're becoming such an, something like that.
Since we do have that, the city that cares, 75 years of the city that
Caring.
cares.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Cause we don't really use that one as,
Oh, that could be.
it is in our garbage cans. Not saying that was like,
That could be.
Sorry to take this to the next step, but cares, and then I naturally want to say about what, and I mean that in a good way. So maybe every couple of months or quarter, it could be a new feature item, cares about trees, cares about children, cares about, and then highlighting those things just to give kind of some structure to the messaging.
Well, and so CARES is actually an acronym for courtesy, action, respect, engagement, and services.
Do those and break those down. Care, see, this is what this means. Excellent.
That's, yeah.
Yep. So kind of look at really boosting up that year's night out. So next year's night out, not the one tomorrow. So, with parade, look, let's bring back more information on a drone show, because I think there's cautious interest. Certainly, newsletters, regular posts, the banners, kind of celebrating that, but also celebrate it intentionally, and kind of promoting what, our culture and community values are. Is that a good summarization of this conversation to help start working on to bring back more?
Yeah.
I think an idea
Yeah.
of some memorabilia.
Yeah.
Or given all the committees, like a pin, I think that.
Pin, special shirt. We'll do limited edition stickers.
Something, I think that would, I think that would be, especially.
Yeah.
I think we
But
should
great.
make some more of the t-shirts. Wear a neck, it's. what
75 years.
Trustees ready.
Meant the one.
Naked beer run,
Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about.
it's a good one too. Your
We-
dad thought of that one.
No. They,
That's fun.
you're the best. Oh yeah, that was just, again, the
Good.
end.
So tomorrow night, you guys can be thinking about, oh, what are we gonna do next year?
So that's the end of the agenda, but want to always leave time for, what else didn't we discuss? What's been on your mind, questions you have, and watch the parks meeting. If it's going to be Wins, Buns and Burgers going to open, we have signed off on their certificate of occupancy, signed off on their business license today. So they should be open within the next few weeks, as now they can start their business if they finish their improvements.
How about the noodle house?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
The Noodle House is being done by the same person that did Sushi Ninja, and that one had their C of O months before they actually.
That was about like a 2-year.
It was took a while. So I wouldn't anticipate that one very quickly.
And then
How about Fish Forever?
they are done. C of O business license 4 months.
Talked about it some time ago.
It's one where I think we already were concerned of, are you really going to open your business? Because they haven't yet.
Yeah.
I have a rack that I built for her.
And they haven't picked it
Sent
up.
her a note. Just like 2
Huh.
years, like almost.
Yeah. Yeah, that one took about 2 years to get through. Chick-fil-A, if you drive by, they've got walls.
Yeah.
I think they were targeting September, and I'm like, well, it's mid-July, September's around the corner. So, I think it's safe to say fall time. They're making progress. I think it's going well. There is, to say nothing in the queue, there's a few, and I don't want to get ahead of hearings and hearing statements. It's really just some businesses moving into existing storefronts, more in our commercial industrial zone. So nothing of, you wouldn't even know they're there. The Hellfire Pizza did close. They closed the bulk of their Northwest locations. I think they have one left in Washington. Haven't been able to connect with Sire Equity. That's actually the property owner of, what they may do with the space. If you've been in there, it's uniquely themed. So I don't know. Sire is very good at marketing, and they like to have full spaces. So I don't doubt that they're already generating interest in prospective tenants and what that, space could be. Trying to think what would be good there, barbecue joint, nice little steakhouse. Not that I eat steak, but we don't have one around here. But that's all just speculation and in a want list. That's not, no one's coming to the door. Hey, we're interested in this space. What's the, the process for tenant improvement? So we know that is vacant, more of a last month or so. It's kind of a sudden closure for all their Northwest locations. Other than that, there's really not much in the queue for new builds, but also not a lot vacant at the moment either, which is not a bad thing.
Can I just ask a totally non-parks question about Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Okay. It always brings in like tremendous lines of traffic. Like, how is that going to be managed on Woodville?
I love that question. So again, talking about safety, roads, and our partnership with the county. So, the Wood Village Boulevard, especially coming off of Gleason northbound, is a little wonky. I'll just say it. We finally, sometime between now and the end of the month, county is committed to restriping that and restructuring essentially Gleason to those first set of driveways, making it clear that it's a left turn lane into the fueling center area, pushing back the right turn queue into the right-hand driveway, and just kind of restriping that, making that part a little more clearer. City has been pushing for, I think, 3 years now, like of actual like hard pushing for Wood Village Boulevard and Park Lane. So that's the main one at Lowe's and Fred Meyer for a four-way. We've seen way too many near misses. We've seen just way too many. This is not good, and Chick-fil-A, to say Chick-fil-A won't help it. The traffic that Chick-fil-A will generate will not help that situation. And so we wanted to get ahead of it. County says, well, we need to wait till they're there to study it.
Oh my goodness, let's have an accident first.
Would prefer another RFB somewhere between Park and those other sets of driveways, because we know there'll probably be a lot of pedestrian traffic with some, you got Chipotle, there'll be Chick-fil-A. I mean, that's going to draw interest. So shorthand, we're trying to work with the county on trying to manage that portion of it for Chick-fil-A itself. So that one's not a dine-in, it's a walk-up window or a drive-through. The drive-through can handle 60 cars in the queue. We anticipate the first week or two will be chaotic and an area to avoid. But as we've seen from their other locations, because this won't be the first one to the area, it's not like, oh, it's finally here. Even if we got the Gresham one, it can usually handle the non-grand opening traffic just fine with its interior layout. To get in the queue can handle 60 cars without even backing up into the internal parking lot before it even gets out. But I do anticipate the opening week or two to be interesting. Thing will help. And then the plan is to further evaluate the other intersection, maybe looking at that, I call it the Chipotle driveway. Is that a right out only? Just to trying to avoid some traffic conflicting movements.
It's been a problem before.
It's been a problem since it was built 25 years ago.
But I didn't know it was a drive-through only. So that means, sorry to make a kind of a joke out of this, that everybody coming out of Chick-fil-A is going to have one hand in the fingertip and the French fries. So they're going to be trying to drive into this very congested, lots of driveways, intersection while they're eating.
The Uber Eats people. Food.
But
Interesting. When are they opening, you think? And
Their plan was September. I'm just, I look at where they're at is mid-July, and, mid-September's it's August, September, it's 2 months. So that seems like a push. Since the walls aren't even finished and there's not a roof on it.
Yeah.
But all that, they're making progress, and we've been trying to do as best we can with the county to mitigate a lot of those concerns. Because that actually came up at the planning commission meeting with design review, because it was an outright use and conformed with the traffic study, a lot of technical stuff. Basically, it wasn't up to Chick-fil-A to fix anything. So now we've been trying to work with the county to look at it differently.
Thank you.
If I didn't say so, the night out's tomorrow. Food, fun, and family. We have a caricaturist coming. We have hot dogs, cotton candy, popcorn. We actually will have a whole booth set up just for fire discussions and kind of where we're at right now, what the future may look like, and trying to get some more feedback of what's important to the community. So as we still are engaging with Gresham, and we're bringing in, some other partners in these discussions of what a regional system could look like and what are reasonable timelines, and how and if we can all move together, what could that look like? So we're just trying to, use this opportunity to connect with community. The big report's done, so we have some handouts on that for people who want to learn a little bit more about the why. So that is a big part of the night out this year because we get a lot of people and it's a big deal. For 30 years, we got a value rate that fit within our current property tax system. We were able to afford our 1-year extension with current means and savings, so it didn't cost the community more this year. Moving forward, that's less and less likely, going to happen. We're going to have to ask you all, the community, for more money for fire.
Yeah.
So the more we can help educate people about that, what that really means and what benefits maybe we can add because of that, we think we should start that now.
I mean, based on what I read, I mean, the response times would be a huge,
Yep.
obviously with the fire is very important.
Whether it's fires or, those severe medical incidences, every second does count. Every second does matter. And, I'm not going to say it's not Gresham's fault that we don't have another station here. It's not in their town. So if we do need a new station, so what does that look like and who can provide the service out of it is a reasonable question that we're getting answers to.
Right,
Done?
all done.
We'll adjourn.
Good. I'm hungry.